Hello everybody, Underdog here, and today on the Underground we're going to do a little something different. This is more of a retro review of a rather old game known as Daggerfall. Daggerfall is the second game in the Elder Scrolls series, and in my opinion it's the best. I'll get to my opinion in a little bit though. Just a couple of disclaimers. A, this is a MS-DOS game. It is old, the graphics reflect it, and at the time the graphics were great, but a lot of modern gamers might take issue with it. So please bear with it, and maybe you'll learn a little bit about the game and the Elder Scrolls series itself. Again, this is very spontaneous, non-scripted. Just decided to go ahead and wing it. So, I will show the opening sequence to the game. It's live action. Try not to laugh too much. Yeah, I really think that's about it. For this part of it, I'm gonna start new game. Here you get the whole map of all Tamriel. You get to choose, by region what race your character is going to be. Just a couple examples for those Morrowind fans out there. A little loud. Quick description of Dark Elves. I'm sure you're used to if you play Morrowind. Actually, the Imperial. I don't think you can play as Imperials now that I think about it. I never do, but here's Skyrim for all you Skyrim fans. So as you can see, even back when this game was made, the entire area was pretty well figured out. You've got the entire island in which Morrowind takes place. So, I mean, it's everything that was pretty much set out. I mean, when we talk about the next Elder Scrolls game, Elder Scrolls 6, I'm not too sure if that is the online one or if the Elder Scrolls 6 is something completely different. Looking at this map right here, you might very well see the next landmass for the next game in the series. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to probably go Somerset Isle. High Elves have a lot of immunities, so. Oh, and for the game, High Rock and Hammerfell will be where the game takes place. This pretty much this area right here, the Bay area. So anyway. Yes. See, magical nature, blah 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 blah. Immune to paralyzing poisons and spells. This might not seem that great, but you'll see why I choose it in just a moment here when I make my character. I'll go male. Always. Well, let me go over this. Like normal, you can choose from a list of characters to play, or create a custom one, or generate your character's class by answering 10 questions to determine the class most compatible to you. I mean, it's fun to take the test because some of the questions are very funny. I might even do a video specifically so you can see the questions. But I'm going to, since this is pretty much a demo of the game and review, I'll choose from a list of possible classes to play. You can also create your own custom character class by choosing this option. Question mark. Okay. Now here you see Mage, Spell Sword, Battle Mage, etc. And they're all, well, most of them are pretty well put together. But, as always, I go down to custom. Even if I want to make a straight up archer, I would go down to custom. Oops, double clicked. I'll choose Theodric real quick. I'll get to that in a moment. Now see, this is where Daggerfall really differs from the other games. Your character is your character. It's very difficult to make the same character somebody else has. As you know, in Skyrim, you can start off as a warrior and realize, hey, I like magic, and then completely change your character around. And there's no penalty for it. I mean, I guess that's somewhat realistic, but in most RPGs, this is how it works. So, name the class. I'm just going to do something very simple. I don't know what that is yet. I'm just going to call myself a Spell Blade. And since I've done calling myself a Spellblade, I'll check my primary skills here. This is a lot to go through, but I will go through most of them. You got 6 schools of magic. The top one's Alteration. Wow, this is going to be a little bit more difficult to explain than I figured because things have changed between the games. There are 6 classes, and as the games have gone on, classes got taken out. Thaumaturgy, for instance, completely gone after this game. I don't even think it's in Morrowind. I know it's not in Oblivion. I know it's not in Skyrim. So, Anyway, you got 6 classes: Thaumaturgy, Restoration, Mysticism, Illusion, Destruction, and Alteration. Now, another quick disclaimer. The game, this is running very well for me right now, but I don't know how Fraps is going to handle the actual recording. So any jumpiness, I can assure you, or lagginess, I can assure you that is the fact I'm recording while I'm doing this. This game really doesn't take that many resources. So let's see. A lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. Backstabbing, the act of stabbing people in the back, getting critical hits. There's even a thing for critical strike. I guess for the perfectionists in us all, who, simply not content with just stabbing somebody, they want to stab them right in the heart. Critical strike. Climbing. That was removed in many of the games. Well, every game since. This is basically, as it sounds, climbing walls, the ability to climb, how fast you are at climbing, and, etc. You got your basic, weapons, archery, axe, blunt weapon. Dodging is actually in this, the ability to dodge. I mean, that's good for wizards and crap who, want to be on the front line but don't want a giant sword. Shield, sorry. Hand-to-hand combat. Let's see. You got your jumping, lock picking. Medical. Medical is about how well you rest. Like when you rest, you get your health back. This is how quickly you do it. The longer you rest in areas that aren't particularly safe, the more likely you are to be attacked in your sleep. Pickpocket, again. Pretty sure you can figure that one out. Short blade, stealth, swimming. I mean, all that's very self-explanatory, but I'm sure you saw some things in here are kind of weird, and I'll get to that. You have things like Spriggan here. What is that? Well, if you remember, there are Spriggans in the game. They are a class of monster, very dangerous, very annoying. Well, you can talk to them in Daggerfall. They have a language, and you can learn it. It is very difficult to learn languages. In fact, one of the hardest things to do in all of gaming is to play Daggerfall with a custom-made linguist class, which is essentially using all of your skills focused on learning different languages. And it's hard to do. In order to learn languages, you have to be in proximity to, let's say, Spriggans. The longer you're near them, the more you learn. The more you learn, the less likely they are to attack you. The issue with that is learning from them without dying. And I have never been able to successfully make a high-level character in this way. I have tried. I just didn't have the patience. As far as languages, you got Orcish, Nymph, Impish, Harpy, Giantish, Dragonish, Centurion. And a lot of these creatures you hardly ever see. In fact, Dragonish, the implication you can talk to dragons. Well, if you've played Skyrim, you know dragons are pretty rare. I mean, sure, after the events of Skyrim, they start popping up like wildflowers, but before this, not very much. They had originally designed to implement like a mountain-sized dragon, some massive dragon into the game. Mountain's probably big, house-sized dragon. But it got wiped along with a lot of features that I wish they'd actually put in the game that they had planned. But basically all you see are dragonlings, little offshoots of dragons that I don't think are actually considered dragons in the game. But anyway, let's get out of this. Well, I'll choose my first class, my first ability. And I'm going to go with Longblade. Longblade, as it implies, sword work. I'm going to go ahead and throw in Critical Strike. And let's see. This isn't a character I intend on really using a lot. So I'll throw in some Destruction. Since I am a Spellblade, I should have, that one of my primary skills. Ah, yes. Leveling up. I'm sure you guys have played a lot of Elder Scrolls games, from Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. Though Skyrim is a bit different. You level up by leveling up your individual stats. So, let's say Longblade, for instance. You can't see it now, but it has a set stat number. Well, let's say it's at 30. And I use it. it will level up independently from my character's level. So I could be a level 1 and potentially have a very high, well, a moderately high long blade. Same can be said for all the skills you place in here. So anyway, get into my major skills. These are skills that won't have as high as starting values as the primary skills, but still pretty high, and they will assist me in my ability to level up. So let's see. Again, I don't think I want to go too crazy with this, so I'll toss in Restoration. Stealth. Backstabbing. Now here are the minor skills. These really, I guess they just differentiate themselves from your complete lesser skills that you don't even choose. Dodging, climbing in case I need to. This is all just rubbish to me right now. Alteration. Illusion? This is actually one of the most fun parts of the game in my opinion. Making your character and all that fun stuff. I want to put a little bit in Deodric because you do get to talk to Deodric Princess. You get quests from them. And it is hidden, not really hidden, but this game doesn't hold your hand. If you want to play this game and your primary method of playing the Elder Scrolls series is Oblivion and Skyrim, be prepared to get a lesson in real gaming. This does not tell you where to go. You'll be lucky if you actually get through the first dungeon. Most people I knew who bought this game when it was first released could not get through the first dungeon. The internet wasn't around, you couldn't find the path, and it just wasn't that accessible. So, I'm going to get a little bit further along into this now. You get your strength, intelligence, willpower, agility, endurance, personality, speed, and luck. And yeah, that's not perceptions, I think. Ugh, it's been so long. I'm pretty sure it's personality. That's how you deal with people of different classes. And I don't want to use the word class because that implies, RPG classes. Nobility, peasantry, merchants, the underworld, they all have their own hierarchy. And you get certain reputation with each. And that's also in this part. I want to put my strength up to 10, by 10 to 60. And I'm going to try not to talk during sound effects. Let's see. Intelligent, I'll let go up on its own. Personality, I'm going to knock down by 10. While that is actually a pretty nasty thing to do yourself in this game, it's not like you're going to lose fights. It's just going to make some things more irritating later down the way. That's all I'm going to do for now. Edit reputations. This is what determines your personality in some ways. Do you come from a peasant background? Okay, if you do, then you would like to make your reputation with peasants higher. But what can peasants really give you in game? Not a whole lot. So I would not recommend that. I would actually knock it down -1, just to give you a little bit extra in some other areas. Nobility, definitely with getting quests. The underworld with quests later in the game and their likelihood to kill you on sight, and to actually give like anti-quests. There are instances in this game that not many people know about, even the most hardcore players, without even doing the main quest. If you get a bad enough reputation in the underworld, they will send assassins after you. Usually in the form of monsters, but Scholars, that's mostly the mage guild, I believe. I haven't even seen this get affected in-game. So I'm going to hold off on telling you a whole lot about that. And merchants, just as it seems, better prices. Basically it. I'm not going to mess with this too much. Now this is the bread and butter of the game. The max, of building your character. The max hit points per level. That's how much, again, HP you get every time you level up. You can raise this to up to 30. But when you raise it, as you saw here, the sword moved up. This is how difficult it is to level up. If you can't be in either red zone in this bar. So you got to be at either 3 times as much or 0.3 times as much. Again, I like getting as high as I can on this. I mean, why not? So Now here's comes down to the point, well, sorry, this goes back to the race I chose. The race I chose, if you remember, had critical weakness to poison and paralysis. Well, I can give myself a critical weakness to poison, but I'm already immune. It doesn't matter. I can actually add that to there and not have to worry about the consequences. Paralysis as well. And paralysis is a pretty nasty thing in this game, so it gave me a huge advantage on this. So yeah, I think I might have pointed up here earlier by mistake. You definitely want down here, as far as you can get. But there are some special advantages you do want. The immunity to some things in this game, I mean, it definitely helps in some areas. If you're a mage character, being able to absorb mana from spells, being able to regenerate your magic in certain areas is always good. Having a bonus to hit if you're a warrior, bonus to hit humans, you do more damage. And that's another thing I do need to actually mention in this. This is an RPG during the times where Dungeons and Dragons were far, and tabletop gaming was far more common than video game RPGs. And this definitely takes a lot from it. You don't see it as much now, but back in the day, when you had an RPG such as this, there was a lot of chance to hit. It's basically an internal roll of the dice. Decides whether or not you hit or not. The better you are, the higher the chance, the more powerful it is. Any bonuses were applied. That's basically what bonus to hit here is. Expertise in Longblade. That makes you better in Longblade starting off. This can also limit how high you can level up in the game. Because if you're starting off at level 1 and you've already got considerable amount into one of your primary skills, you're not going to level up a whole lot with it. What you can do, however, is put something like Longblade in your primary skill and give yourself bonuses in something like Swordplay and make Swordplay your primary and use Longblade later on to level up. You can do that. I wouldn't advise it. Let's see. And the more and more I, through this retro review, the more it seems like a guide. But, you get the idea from, me playing. I'm going to pretty much exit out of this now. I don't need a whole lot. I'll add a couple more special disadvantages. Forbidden armor type. Never allowed to wear chain. So any chainmail I'll pick up, I can't put on. Forbidden weaponry. Well, I'm never going to use an axe. Because, not that kind of guy. Forbidden material. This is a good time to show you the different things. These are pretty much in the order of strength. Adamantium is the strongest in this game. Diodric, second strongest. Dwarven, third. Ebony, Elven, Iron. I don't know if these are in order or not. Iron doesn't seem like it should be above Mithril or Orcish or Silver. But, yeah, the top two are the two most powerful in the game. That's all you really need to know. Because as you level up, that's going to be what you're aiming to get. But I want to make it so I can never wear Orcish. I think I am too far in the no-no zone. Nope, they're not me. Alright. Fast start by automatically generating your character's background. You will be able to adjust starting attributes and skills within the character sheet, or choose your character's career path by answering 12 important career decisions that will influence character build. We'll go ahead and do this one. It's a little bit more into it. This is where you write your biography. Basically answer these questions. First one here is after the College of Destruction. Again, I got this by seeing that Destruction was one of my primary skills. What school did I study the second longest? Well, Restoration is one of my major skills. So I'm going to go ahead and say Restoration. What motivates you into a life of adventure? Well, again, a lot of people that play video games and RPGs now kind of don't even know that RPGs are about creating a character and playing it the way you would. Creating a character that can have any kind of background whatsoever. Nowadays it's mostly hack and slash, but a lot of the fun part was building a character, and this is what this really is. So, since I'm a Spellblade, I'm going to go with Knowledge. This will probably set me with a book as one of my items when I start off the game. I spent my free time, this, again, well, bolster one spell skill. I'm gonna say sparring. This is gonna be an item I get to keep. I'm gonna say a cuirass. Yeah. A gift from the Emperor. Now this is gonna be something you can end up selling or money to start off with. Nothing here I can actually use, so I'm gonna go ahead and just take the money. I got additional training and another thing. I want to go with restoration again, because this might be able to even out my destruction and restoration. Spend any free time you have training with Longblade. Now this is going to be a slight benefit to a language I can speak. I'm going to go with Diadra because, you know, ideally later in the game I'd want to summon him, and nothing else here really applies to the rest of the game. This will give me some not so positive love. Yeah, this will give me a negative reputation a little bit with someone. Go with thieves. I'll say warrior. Now this, 8 different religions in the game that is easily accessible to you. There are others that are lesser, but they hardly even come up, and most people don't even know they exist, even, again, the hardcore fans of the game. I'm not really going to go into a whole lot. I mean, this explains what they do. If you really want to read them, you can pause and read. But each one has their own, you know, temple within the game with different affiliations and quests. You can join all that fun stuff. For now, I'm just going to say none. You could always join later on. I have the most trouble, and this will give me another negative thing. I'm going to say avoiding diseases because, hey, I can't get diseases. Oh, wait. Scratch that. Poisons. Can't be poisoned. So, scholars like me, nothing else really changed. It's kind of weird because I definitely should have gotten a negative from something. Name thyself. I shall be known as Undr Spellweaver because that seems RPG-ish. Now you choose your face. It's typical. I usually use the red-haired guy when I use high elf. This is part of that whole RPG thing, or Dungeons and Dragons style. Basically, the game rolled dice for me and decided what additional benefits my character will get. I can re-roll, which I'll do just to show. And this basically determines how much goes into everything and how much extra I get to actually distribute myself. This is interesting. I got 11 here, and it also added 6 into this. So I add 10 to my intelligence, and I guess 1 to personality to bring it all the way up to 50. Seem pretty well rounded right now. Put okay. Now I can add even more bonuses. I'm sure, as you can see, there's a lot into building your character. It's very technical. Quite a bit of math actually goes into it, though. You probably won't be able to figure out the mathematical components in-game. So, I'm going to go even here. Actually, even between those two. There we go. I'll put it all on Diadric. Now here's another part of the game. This kind of determines the difficulty of the game, or the capabilities of your computer, or how well you like or dislike the combat system. Player reflexes determine the overall speed of the game. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here's a quick overview. To play this game, you swing the mouse how you want the sword to react. You swing it left, the sword swings left. You swing it right, the sword swings right. You bring it towards yourself, you do a chopping motion. Diagonal is a diagonal slice, and straight forward is a stabbing motion. So this comes to the swordplay aspect of the game. How fast do you want your opponents to be able to swing at you? And how fast do you want to swing at your opponents? If you're not very good at it, or your computer is laggy, you're going to want to put it on low or very low. Otherwise, if you're good at it and you can out combat the game, very high and high is good. I'm going to leave it on average, though, just to, you know, get things rolling here. a quick overview of my character. When I hit OK, the game will start and we'll go into the main sequence. And everything here checks out. It's what I chose. I didn't make any mistakes. Here we go.
400 years after Tiberseptim's reign, the beginning will meet the end, and the bloody circle will close in the empire of Tamriel. The unworthy heirs of the Septim dynasty have allowed the bonds of the empire to weaken and crack. Uriel Septim the Seventh cannot repair what his ancestors ignored. The provinces fight among themselves like neglected children, drunk with rebellion, and one indomitable power hides himself, but not forever.
Excuse the gloom, but none may know of this meeting. The nature of my trouble is darker still. Over a year ago, King Lysandus of Daggerfall died honorably on the field of battle. He was as loyal a subject, ally, and friend as you are. I did grieve for him, but his spirit does not rest. With a spectral army, he haunts his former kingdom, crying for revenge. I do not know why a good and loyal man would be so cursed. Perhaps you can find the answer and close the marble jaws of oblivion, bringing peace to his soul. I ask this as your emperor and your friend. I have one lesser request. Several years ago, I wrote a letter to the Queen of Daggerfall. It never arrived. The letter was of a sentimental and personal nature. If you find and destroy that letter, I will be grateful. Now, my champion, rest well this night, for tomorrow you sail for the kingdom of Daggerfall.
Well, after all that awesome goodness, by the way, if you don't feel like a nerd, then you probably already are one after watching that. But after that live action good news fest, we see this wall of text that tells us basically we got into a shipwreck. We crawled into a cave, and upon crawling into the cave, the storm caused a mudslide, sealing you into the cave. Hopefully you can find your way back out. And need a tutorial. Okay, we already have a very gloomy atmosphere going on here. Use the mouse to turn. You can, you can set up your interface to do so as well. I'll turn the game down. Turn the game down a tad bit there, so I can actually hear myself talk. So anyway, here we are. Not a lot to do with this room. So anyway, this is Privateer's Hold, the first dungeon in Daggerfall, and it is infamous in the gaming community, well, among older PC gamers anyway, for being a very, very difficult start to any game. Most players most gamers I know who have played this game never made it out of this dungeon. And this is one of the largest games, if not the largest game, landmass-wise, ever made. And again, I'll get to that once we get topside, if I even make it out. Alright. I do have pants on. They're the same color as my skin. However, there is nudity in this game. You can turn it off and on. I don't know what I have it set as because I just did a fresh reinstall for this. So, who knows. I'm going to equip my sword. Get my, chest plate. That's the cuirass that I said I saved as a young job in the character creation. As you can see, clothes do stay on underneath your, underneath your armor. Magic items, I just have my spell book that comes with every character, whether you're a mage or not. I got a book. Story of Laricius by Brisney Smith. I can actually read the book like in other Elder Scrolls games. And you'll probably recognize a lot of the books from the other games. Quick demonstration, slash, chop, diagonal, stab. It works very well. I mean, I don't know why people complain. Ooh, this is going to be another fun thing. I am playing on my laptop, which does not have a proper, well, the things needed to play this game. Like, I don't have my home, my page up, page down. So, bear with me here as I figure out how to get these things to work. Alright, I'm just going to use that to look down. I don't have to look up much. Alright. Because, lo and behold, there's a rat in here. First taste of combat. Alright, that might have seemed a little choppy. I admit now that I am using the touch mouse on my laptop. I don't have a lot of room where I'm at right now, so. Anyway, continuing on. Up the steps. There's a lot of things that will one-hit kill you in this dungeon. Not gonna lie. Took out the bat. That's not one of the things that one-hit kills you. Things that one-hit kill you are in rooms that I'm avoiding right now by hugging this wall. You can hear them. I believe that is an imp. Wandering around the corridors. Hope nothing pops out. Should be another bat coming up these steps. A little weird. It's not past them. Go figure. Again, the choppiness is about the issue with traps. Uh-oh, it's an archer. Or maybe not. Looting the bodies. Info. 2 to 6 damage versus not as much. Now again, I know the path to get out of here. So it's going to take me considerably less time. Thought I heard something behind me. Oh, you hold shift to move a little bit faster. A not so secret looking door, but it is one of the keys to actually getting out of this game alive. I've already forgot my way a little bit here. There's 2 human, well, I was going to say human-like monsters, but they're humans back there. Actually sounds like they might be after me. Yeah, I'm already almost out of the dungeon, and it might not seem big. I don't think I have any method of fighting this. Alright, I am outside. Huzzah. Alright, here's an overview of the map. this is where things get a little bit different than the other Elder Scrolls games. This game is over 63,000 square miles in size. That is massive. Morrowind, by comparison, is 0.01 the size, or percent the size of this game. It's ridiculous. There's like, what, 6 towns in Morrowind? This has 200... I don't even remember, like 7... I don't remember how many here, to be completely honest with you. There's a lot of towns. I'll show you by example. I'm currently in the province of Daggerfall. My boat apparently came through here and crashed and went into Privateer's Hold, which is a dungeon that appear in orange. As you can see, there's a slight difference in color between the one I'm in and the others in the area. The lighter an object is on the map, the larger it is. Privateer's Hold is a very large dungeon. In contrast, the Coppersley Graveyard is relatively small. If I turn off the dungeons, turn on the temples, these are all different temples. Some are religious temples, although some are more pagan-like. These are individual homes, like homesteads, maybe a farm. And the towns, again, the smaller being the largest ones. And it's, as you can see, it can be hard to select an individual one like that. So, you have the options here, like, enter place. I want to go to Daggerfall, which is the capital of the province of Daggerfall. Do you wish to travel to Daggerfall? For right now, we'll say no, so I can stay in this menu. As you can see, that is a lot of towns. That murders the amount of towns in all the other Elder Scrolls games put together. And the funny thing about it is, that's one province. Every province has towns. Every province has individual homes, temples, and dungeons. This place has so many different places just to visit. You have, in the game you have different NPCs. Just like real life, some of them are just faces, dime a dozen, you never even talk to them, you never see them, you never need them. They make up the majority of the NPCs in this game. The only thing you ever use them for is directions, targets to pickpocket. If you have some weird bloodlust you need to let out, pick a peasant, stab him in the back. Not my problem. However, that being said, and with them making up the majority of the population, there is about, if I remember correctly, 250,000 NPCs that are important, that have names, that give quests, just in this one game. That is ridiculous by any other game standards. It's Bethany. Very smallest province. I just felt like pointing it out. On here, there's actually I remember where it was. Sorry, nostalgia's kicking in. Oh well, I can't find it. There's a graveyard I like to go early in the game, but I can't find it. Oh, because that dungeons. There it is. The Wixley Graveyard. It's a very basic graveyard, and I might show you a dungeon in this. So, yeah, whatever. Alright, turn on towns. Find Daggerfall. Yes. This explains, how I'm going to get there. Will I take damage on my way? Will I waste money on the way? I will leave as is. And just say, it'll take me 8 days to travel there. Put my sword away. Now this is the town. You can already see that it is far more massive than any town in any other Elder Scrolls game. Now this being the focal city of the game, it's understandable. Heard a cat. So how do you find your way in a place like this? There we go. Sorry, it's taking me a little while to remember how to do all the basics in this game. That's the market square. I mean, this place is massive. Again, you could probably make the argument that this one city is larger than all the other cities and all the other Elder Scrolls games put together. And the reason why I love Daggerfall so much is that it feels real. This is a town. You're nothing in this town. It's a one-to-one scale of a real-world environment. And that's what makes this game so amazing. One of the smallest shops in the game. Different things you can buy or steal if you're so inclined. Another thing people have complained about this game, and I can kind of understand, is that it utilizes a banking system. And the banking system is actually very important. The banking system essentially allows you to buy houses. If you buy a house through a bank, usually through a loan, but in Daggerfall they kind of want you to have the money up front. But another issue is, a push towards realism. Gold has weight. You can only carry so much money until you're at the point you're completely loaded down with money, you can't walk. So what we have here is letters of credit. You deposit your money in the bank, they give you a piece of paper saying, hey, the bank owes you this much money. And you can't use this currency, but you can use it to withdraw money at, whenever you need. I like the idea. Again, it makes it feel real. Like how many times in a game you say, wait a second, let me go hit the bank. So, some people it's annoying. I just think it's a fun, addition to the realism. Pair of tights. And what else would be fun? Yeah, for now that's good. Info, 1,000 to buy the horse. I currently have 24. I'll buy what I have. I'm sorry. That's how much it would cost me. I had like 300. Still. Excuse me. As you can see, I actually got a smaller, I paid less than what it was worth. That's always a good thing. Now, something that a lot of people do to start off the game, and I'm not going to get into this kind of thing too much. You can hide inside of a, say a store, and wait for them to close. The NPC will stay there, but your option to buy is gone. However, you can now just take things off the shelf. See, the steal option is only considered stealing if you do it in front of somebody. Like, let's say you're playing Skyrim, and you want to get your sneak skill up. Well, sneaking in your house with nobody else there is not going to do you any good. You have to be sneaking near a hostile NPC. In this instance, you can only steal when there's somebody there to catch you. Otherwise, it's just taking free things. And since the NPC stays there, you can still talk to him. You can still sell things to him. The game doesn't register him actually being there. So you can steal, let's say, I don't know, 5,000 horses, and then sell them right back to him and steal 5,000. You get loaded real quick. It's, generally considered cheating. It's in the game, so technically it's not, but, it's still cheap. As you can see, there's NPCs walking around. They are two-dimensional sprites, but what can you do? It was 1996, the game was developed in 1994, 1995, so you got what you got. See if I can actually climb something here. To climb, basically, you have to walk straight at something with no angle of variation. Climbing mode. My ability to climb sucks. So I get just about as far. Oh, no, I'm actually making it. I'm on the roof. And as you might notice in every other Elder Scrolls game, jumping from roof to roof isn't considered suspicious, at least. I don't know. These horses are real. I mean, they're real, but you can't just say hijack them. Alright. Showed off a bit of the town. Again, I keep trying to use the mouse to navigate the map. Now, most places, nighttime is not a big deal, as long as you get the city limits, there's not a lot of people going to attack you. if you're in, you know, over your head with, say, the Dark Brotherhood, which, by the way, were introduced in Daggerfall. Well, let's say, you know, people want you dead, you could be in a little bit of trouble. But, for the most part, you're safe. You know, as long as you're in town, nothing's really going to hurt you unless you break a law. That being said, I am in the one town in the game that does not apply. Sorry, I'm a little curious. I do believe I might have stumbled across a what could be a Dark Brotherhood. Maybe not. Oh, Knights of the Dragon. You know what? I even read that on there. They're hard to explain. They're like an independent. They're knights independent from the actual. Think of them as knights for hire, I guess. I'll have to brush up on my Daggerfall lore because I might be wrong on that. Anyway, as I was saying, this is the one city in all of Daggerfall that you don't want to be around at night. Which is quickly approaching, actually. I can kind of promise you this, if I go out at night, I will die. Because... Sorry, the horrible, high-pitched music distracted me. I'm gonna get a room, just one day. Fairly certain I can just rest now. Say rest for 4 hours. That should put me in nighttime. I'll wake up in a bedroom. I'll level up. Get my strength up. But, along with him, he brings forth lots of evil ghosts and the undead. And I'm about to show you why you don't go outside at night. Oh, and with Daggerfall, save early, save often. Under spell... And as you can see, this is fairly good reason. Hello. You are not. Huh. Not what I expected. Forgot that burglars do occasionally show up at night in towns, but they are so rare, it's not even funny. I'm actually surprised I'm not being beaten down by a ghost right now. And I'm very reluctant to go very far away from the inn I'm staying at. Oh well, it doesn't appear as though I'll be able to show you guys the creepiness of going out. Got that part out of the way. Really don't want to waste a lot of time. I know it's already piping a half an hour, and if you're still listening, you must be very bored, and I appreciate you boredom. As you can tell, the soundtrack's pretty nice. out of here, on the other hand. Time is it anyway? It's still nighttime. I'll rest 1 more hour. 6 o'clock is basically when day begins. Come on. Ah. Letters pressed into your hand. You spin to see who gave it to you. You catch a glimpse of a livery that vanishes into the ground. Alright. That goes to show how bad my vocabulary is. Loading miscellaneous. Oops. You're under Spellweaver. Main quest. Now, this is the big issue of the game. If you do not meet this lady at the area she wants you to, and in this case, the Rat and Woodchuck in Gallowvale Moor of Daggerfall, if you don't find her within the month, you can no longer do the main quest in this game as far as I know. So, this goes ahead, this really shows you that the game is more about living your own virtual life than it is doing the main quest. It's completely optional. So optional that you choose right at the beginning whether you want to ignore it or not. For the sake of showing how this game works, I'm going to promptly forget what the place is called. Go back in here to find out. Gallowvale Moor. Enemies nearby. That's a little creepy. I can't travel from inside. This really is not something I expected. So apparently there is someone nearby who wants me dead. Could be a burglar. Or a ghost surviving the daytime. Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to find one last night, couldn't find one. Wake up in the morning when they should all be gone. Now I can't fast travel. Which brings me up to another point. This game is notorious for having a lot of bugs. It was originally called Daggerfall by the gaming community. It was unplayable when it was first released, and ever since then Bethesda's had a reputation, though not always warranted, for creating buggy games. But they fixed it all through patches, and the game runs wonderfully for the most part. Little things like that still occur. So much so that I, once again, in the confusion, forgot what the place was called. Gallowvale. Fine. Gallowvale. Maybe it's an individual home. Or maybe I spelled it wrong. Gallowvale Moor. Begin. Now I'm looking for the Rat and Woodchuck Inn. It's quite possible that this is it right here. This doesn't seem like it's a large town. Very small. And this is really the only place. However, for the sake of showing y'all how this game runs, talk to her. What is it? Up here you get this, whether you want to be polite, normal, or blunt. I find talking to someone normally is a lot. Yeah, you're definitely going to get more reaction back. Even acting politely, they think you're condescending and they won't give you a lot. I'm going to look for taverns. Apparently there are 2 in this town. I must have missed them. The Rat and Woodchuck is what I want. Yeah, what you're going to want to do is go right here. You can see the Rat and Woodchuck on your map. Thank you. Okay. Goodbye. If I go to my map, the rat and woodchuck. So. Again, you do have control issues when you use W, A, S, and D as opposed to a joystick. So those of you who are not too familiar with PC gaming might have a hard time with that. You look like you have money. Thank you for responding to a letter under. I am a lady, whatever. As you can see, it cut off my last name. I mean, at least the game is, you know, intuitive enough to realize what last name is and cut it out when it's not formal. Now, the main quest is open to me. I'm not going to go ahead and do it because it is very long. So long, in fact, that it contains 6 different endings. Each ending was actually retconned into one ending, which is kind of hard. It's like the Ocarina of Time. Daggerfall creates a split timeline that all occurs at the same time. I don't know how it's possible. I've never really looked into it a whole lot. Suffice to say, I know what happens. So, won't get too much into it. It definitely does help open the way to Morrowind a little bit. You find the information in some of the books in Morrowind. So, well, I showed you how large the game is. I showed you some of the, gameplay and how fighting and combat works. Haven't gone a whole lot into reputation, but suffice to say, when I talked to the merchant, I got a slightly better deal on, how to put this, I got a better deal than I normally would by 2 gold, because I have some merchantile. Even though I gave myself a little bit less of the peasantry, it wasn't enough to stop the lady from helping me out. So that's a little bit of the reputation aspect. Nobility doesn't, particularly like me right now. They don't hate me either. Same thing can be said for the the underworld, demons, liches, those kind of bad guys. Now for the guilds. This is going to be a little bit difficult getting into because they are more expansive than the other guilds are in the other games. So much so that there are certain guilds that got taken out, like the Order of the Lamp. That was supposed to be a secret society based on the government, like the 3 major governments or something, I don't know. It wasn't implemented, but it sounded like it was going to be awesome. Anyway, you got the Fighters Guild, which basically you can go in, sign up, they'll send you on quests. It's very basic, just like every other game. Mages Guild. If you've only played Skyrim, then you haven't gotten what a Mages Guild is. The Mages Guild is more powerful than, probably the most powerful of all the guilds in the game. They are often highly connected to the internal governments because basically the governments have the knights. They are not part of the Fighters Guild, therefore they don't need the Fighters Guild. On the other hand, they don't have mages, so the mages work very closely with the government, and it's hard to tell when you don't play the game much, but a higher reputation with the Mages Guild tends to help you with government officials and nobility. Let's see. You got the Thieves Guild. Very secretive. You can only get into it if you get away with stealing things. They'll be like, oh, you may not have been called, but we saw what you did. If you want to join us, and then they'll give you a quest, which is usually stealing clothes for somebody's attic. It's pretty lame. Again, just a test. The Dark Brotherhood. Introduced to the game, they are the Assassin's Guild. And again, it's by invite only. And they'll invite you once you slaughter enough people. And then basically they're like, hey, accept our invitation. If you don't accept our invitation, we're going to kill you. So you can either get quests from them, or you can kill them when they come to assassinate. Either way, you get to kill people. Let's see, what else is there? The Dark Brotherhood is actually, this is actually kind of clever. There's so many things in the game that were not implemented, but should have been, that when you see something that looks like it's an unfinished idea, it probably was an unfinished idea. However, furniture stores in this game were often thought to just be an unfinished idea. Turns out they're really just a front for the Dark Brotherhood. So what appears to be a shop that doesn't do anything, that has nobody, has very few people in it, and no products, it's as it's meant to be. So let's see. I want to pick a massive town. Ah, here's an idea. Why don't I show you guys a different town, type of town entirely. Sentinel is one of the 3... Sorry, hold on. Sentinel is one of the 3 primary places in the game that the main story takes place. It is one of the... Sorry, I got that wrong. It's one of the main powers in the game. And I'm about to go to their primary capital. As you can see, it is very different. It's in a completely different country. And its architecture shows. Hello. I want to know where the mages go. Location. Guilds. Mages Guild. Okay. She has no idea. Talk to him. You know where to go. Marked on the map. What a nice guy. I'm very close. Hooray. I'll show you guys the Mages Guild. Again, magic, it works very well in this game. I hear a lot of people complain about how it's unresponsive, but if you play Arena, you'll realize it's much better than it was in Arena. And if you play Daggerfall, I'm afraid you might be a little spoiled because, you know, the magic system in Morrowind was a little broken considering what you could do with glitch and otherwise. So, yeah, so I'll come to the clinic first. It's much faster if you have a horse to ride, I'll tell you that much. Ah, this is one of the larger mages guilds. Again, you get quests, you raise up in reputation, rank, eventually you can become the leader. I forgot what they called in this, I think it's the Archmage. I think in some of the games they change it. I'll join the guild. Yes, you are worthy to join the Mages Guild. And by this he means I have at least one skill that meets a certain standard and a secondary skill that meets a secondary standard. In this case, destruction and restoration. As an apprentice, I get used to certain things like the Spellmaker. I can get training in any one of the guild skills, which is basically any type of magic skill. I'll be eligible to use a library, buy magical items, even make it my own. I'm very interested. I am known as Undr Spellweaver Apprentice. Congratulations. And the Mages Guild, along with witch covens and some temples, have what I think is the most interesting concept, and that's the Undr lords. You see them and you hear about them throughout the Elder Scrolls series. You get to meet a few of them in different games. I mean, Sheogorath. Actually, I think you can do quests for every single one of the Undr princes in Skyrim. But Sheogorath's my favorite, creator of the Wobblejack, which is in this game. It is awesome. This is the teleportation dude, I believe. No, he's training. I'm too poor. I just spent my money on. Oh yeah. Spending a night in a couple of inns probably put me under 200. She's a spellmaker. Can I actually make spells yet? I can. This is a good example. A good time to show you this. Making your own spells is very, very powerful in this game. Basically, you make a spell for any situation, and unlike well, I shouldn't say this, Morrowind was pretty broken. Unlike Oblivion and Skyrim, they hadn't made a game where the magic system worked properly until now. And now that there is one, it seems like Bethesda didn't know exactly how to do it in a way that wouldn't break the game. You can create some pretty ridiculous spells, including ones that kill everybody anywhere near you, without any problem, at relatively low levels. I'm just going to show a quick example. I'll call this an example. You can change the icon, how it appears in your spellbook. Purple haze. Let's see. Fortify attribute. Strength. Alright, this will fortify my strength. The duration of it's 1 + 1 for every one level. So the base is 1, it'll always do 1, and then I'll add 1 for each one of my levels. So if I do So basically that, at my level, will be 1 plus 2 since I'm level 2. I'd be at 3. That'll be how long it lasts. Same thing happens here. Minimum amount plus the maximum amount for every level. And the second you start bumping up numbers, the cost of the spell gets higher. So until you become really proficient, these numbers will be way too big to really be able to use any spell. With that in mind, I'm going to escape, go into my stats, which I should have done to start with, to be completely honest. My, forgot how to get to it. Again, this is something I really need to do, and it's kind of embarrassing that I don't know. That is pretty messed up. Here we go. I have, this basically explains what my intelligence level is. With your intelligence of 61, you're considered fairly clever. And I have 30 out of 30 spell points are available for casting. And that goes to show you that that spell I was going to make as low level as it was. At the lowest, I can get it around twice as many spell points as I actually have. So, I am a real scrub right now. The most powerful thing that the mage skill can do for you, though, is enchanting. Enchanting items, just like in the other games, can really give you a power boost that borders on the unfair. I'll try to... There's no way I can demonstrate enchanting right now. I think she'll identify items. I don't know what they do. Time I have none. And the man in the middle, the one who initiated me into the guild, he's the quest giver. The quests can vary anywhere from performing a spell, my spells, performing a spell on someone who's asleep, unlocking a chest to someone accidentally locked. Some of them are very simple. Others, on the other hand, can be going to a dungeon. Actually, let me show you this. Can't even look at them. Like going into a dungeon and getting an ingredient that they need. You can make magic items. Unlike regular items, magic items can now be repaired, which, you know, kind of sucks. There are add-ons to the game that allow it, but that typically falls in the realm of cheating. Let's see here. There's one person, there's two people in particular I'm looking for: the teleportation dude and the summoner. Teleportation should be your typical blue, you know, garments. Oh, there he is. I don't think he'll let me do it now. But he can teleport you to any other mage's guild. And as you can see by looking at the map, there are a lot of towns, and most towns have a mage's guild. Look at this. I'm on the roof. There he is, the summoner. This guy here can summon Diadra on certain days. It's very difficult. It's fairly difficult to learn when you can summon certain Diadra. Some are on holidays, some are only certain days of the year. So it actually takes a lot of research and understanding how the world works to be able to play this game to its fullest. And again, that's another aspect of the immersion that a lot of other games simply do not give you. Particularly other Elder Scrolls games. For instance, Gate Quest. I won't say no. I'll just give you examples of these different things. Basically, all these are asking, basically all the ones he's given me so far are asking me to go find certain ingredients to spells and potions. This one's a trap. You answer it, he'll give you a relatively difficult quest to do, and you may simply not have the time to do it. This is basically me trying to correct a mistake by another mage, killing off an astronaut they created. No quest. This is me taking out a whole den of necromancers. This is something you've probably done in, I think Morrowind had it, but Oblivion and Skyrim definitely had necromancer covens that you had to take care of. This is basically the same thing. Imps. This is basically a delivery thing. Go get something, bring it back. The one I was waiting to show you, and I was actually going to do if it showed up, was guarding the Mage's Guild. Easiest thing to do. You usually get a magical item or somewhat expensive item for completing it. Either you stay until midnight, wait 3 hours for burglars to show up or assassins to show up and kill them all, anywhere between 3 or 4, or you just wait 3 hours, depending on which quest they give you. And it's the most profitable one. You get the level up in the guild. It's win-win. So, let's not take up any more time. The Fighters Guild is essentially the same thing. The Thieves Guild is more difficult to get into, and it'd probably be too difficult for me to do in this video. Save game. Why do you save game, you might ask? Well, because of this. This will show you a bit of the criminal system. Much like other games, do I wish to surrender to the city guards? If I say no, I get the crap beaten out of me, probably not. If I say yes, they'll take me to jail. My reputation in town will go up or down. I'll plead not guilty. How will I, convince them I didn't do it? I could debate with them that that woman somehow deserved to die, or lie by saying that guard didn't see me kill her. So I'm going to go debate. I'm fairly intelligent. I've been found guilty. Sentenced to 528 days in prison starting today. That's like, it's over 2 years of me sitting in jail. So of course the Emperor right now is probably none too happy that the person he sent out on this amazing quest spent all of his time in jail. And they threw me outside at night. But that's, just a quick example of that kind of thing. I'm going to load the game again. Kill her again. And this time fight. This will probably be the end of the video for now. I get my review. Never. I'm doing... Oh, I actually killed him. That's a bit of a surprise. But like the other games, enemies do level up with you to some degree. Particularly the items and what they use and stuff like that. If I look on my reputation list, you are in Sentinel. It is 1553 on Morndas. The 29th of Morningstar, which is all, part of a crazy date system that I'm not going to try to explain right now. In the eyes of the Law of Sentinel, I am a scoundrel. Not quite a serial killer, despite my double homicide. Scratch that. Triple homicide. I'm going to keep doing this until I die. I got 2 pieces. Why they try hard? It's you. What is it? Oh, she actually helped me. Usually when you've got less than savory reputation, they don't want to help you. And so they die. Oh, hello. Yeah, maybe I played Castle Wolfenstein. Or Wolfenstein. It might be a little bit similar to the whole, football. And now I'm dead. You get this fun little animation when you die. Signifying that you died. And that is the end of your tale. Spit you back out here. Okay. I know this has been a very long and unnecessarily long video, but, and it also veered away from it being a review of any sort. So, anyway, my battery's about to die on my headphones, I'll get right to it. I love the game. It's the most immersive game I've ever played. There's so much more than what I was able to show you. I mean, this 20-minute at most review turned out to be a however long, I mean, like an hour long. It's ridiculous. So, entirely my fault. If you stick through this long, thank you for listening. And I really suggest you play the game. It is for free download right now. Watch all the patches, very easy to install. Use the DOSBox, very simple. It's free to download at Bethesda's website. So I suggest you check it out, give it a shot. If you can deal with the graphics, the gameplay differences to what might be, you know, what you're used to, highly recommend this game. It's one of my favorite games ever made, and probably the most ambitious game to date. I will be putting Daggerfall videos online, probably just as boring as this one, so appreciate if you watch. Until next time.